Hi, Jackie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so good. I'm just so happy to be sitting here with you. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I am excited. I am excited for today.
You are one of those humans that I feel like every time I see you, I just get a big smile on my face. And we
Ditto.
don't get to hang out very often. So when it happens, I really look forward to it.
Yeah,
So
same, same.
good. That would be really sad if you were like, no.
You'd be like, oh, thanks.
Jackie and I met through the wonderful local leadership program that I've mentioned probably too many times at this point because the other folks that I've interviewed, Shauna, Tamika, also, through the SAC leadership program. And I think that's just a testament to the fact that that group brought some really incredible folks into my life. And I just feel so grateful for that. Jackie is one of those women that enters spaces with just like a really quiet confidence. She's not always going to be the loudest voice in the room, but when she decides to share, it's always insightful. It's always spot on. It's always done with intention. She has a love for her daughter that just immediately it was I remember our very first conversation. We were sitting at lunch. It was like a buffet lunch and
What?
I got the full download about her now 15-year-old and I was like, oh, I knew I loved her. Okay, great.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that introduction. I am, you hit me spot on. I'm this weird, I guess it's, introverted extrovert, right? Like I'm absolutely outgoing and a people person and love to be in space with people, but I am an absolute observer.
Hmm.
Sit back and I watch and I listen and then I formulate my thought and then I word vomit on. Right? I
Yeah.
word vomit. And I absolutely have a 15-year-old and she's a few months from 16.
Oh
And
my gosh.
I am continually learning from her every day, learning about myself and learning about Grace.
It is the most wild. I actually wrote about this recently with my daughter who's 10. The almost like restructuring of like how we think about what it means to parent a
Yeah.
child. And I had amazing parents,
Yeah.
but societally, I think things are
Yeah.
shifting
Yeah.
around what
Yeah.
it means
Sure.
to, especially with daughters, sons too, of course, but just,
Yeah.
they are a mirror in a way that can be deeply unsettling at times.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I would agree. I had great parents. Like I'm so fortunate for my upbringing, but exactly what you said, like parenting in this day and age it's wildly different. Wildly
Yes.
different. It's wildly
Yes.
strategic. I don't know that my parents were that strategic, but I am a
Yes.
strategist when it comes to parenting.
So Jackie has been with the Roberts Family Development Center for 8 years, I believe it
Yes.
is.
Yeah. Going on my ninth summer.
Amazing. Nonprofit that supports underserved children and families in our region. Currently, they're director of education. And I think it would be helpful just to start there because this is what's so crazy about these leadership programs is we all are with each other for a year, but we don't actually get to talk a lot about the work that we lead, the work that we care about, right? Because a lot of it is about the community project that we're doing or learning about our own
Hmm.
internal development. So I'm
Yeah.
just excited to hear more about the work that you care about. So let's start there and the work of the center and kind of what you're focused on
Yeah,
specifically.
sure. Robertstein Development Center is based out of North Sacramento with the mission and vision to strengthen families and communities, right? Knowing that families and children need strong communities and access to equitable resources to live their best life. We start with kids. Our heartbeat is education and kids. Most of the families that we serve look like me. And so wanting families to have an opportunity to shift some of those generational things that have happened in communities. The community that we work on was terribly hit hard by the war on drugs. It is
Mm.
a community that is primarily a lot of transient families, so families that rent, families that move in and out, families moving through life as in a process. And so wanting to offer children an anchor and a place to be able to really hone in on what's possible for them to dream big. So we do after school programs, we do summer literacy programs, mentoring and tutoring programs, parent engagement, and then we have a whole host of resources that can come alongside families as they struggle with just the general things that life kind of throws at you, with the hope that we create some sustainable change and help community members understand, larger communities understand how important programs like ours are to be able to provide equitable access to what's out there. Because many times families in communities only know what happens in their communities. They don't know about the different things that are happening in other spaces. So through things like field trips and guest speakers and parent series, we provide opportunity for community to get involved. And then we also do some advocacy work, helping young people learn how to advocate for themselves, helping parents learn how to advocate for their children, and also helping people understand their voice and role in the larger political, for lack of a better word, political community landscape of the city, right? From how you participate in your neighborhood associations to city and county elections, what your voice may mean at a district school board meeting, and how that filters into larger schemes of things, of how city may allocate money for programming, for parks, for street cleaning. So we do a lot of community work, but our heartbeat is really equity for children and families.
That's amazing. The advocacy piece, just in general, I feel like it's such a missing component in so many
Mhm.
spaces. Like, how do we, as folks that are of our community, actually get involved and get
Yeah.
engaged?
Yeah.
So what do you, as the director of education, like, what do you get to do? What's your kind of day to day? I
My
can imagine.
day looks like all of the above. No.
I was going to say, I can imagine it's a lot.
I oversee all of the programs that touch children. So that's a real huge chunk. So it's anything that deals with schools, kids, parents, mentoring, tutoring. I am a kid person at heart, and when I started out in my career, I started out as a preschool and kindergarten teacher. So
What?
5 and 6 year olds,
Amazing.
that's my heartbeat. Like, I love kids because 5 and 6 year olds say the darndest thing, right? They have no filter. And I
Yes.
think that, and I think I know, I absolutely love that they have no filter. It keeps you on your toes. And so my heartbeats are being in space with children. So we serve kindergartners all the way through high schoolers in our formal programs. And so being in space with kids is always really fun to see them grow into change, to see how they think, to see how they grapple with things. They're actually really, really loving when they're in a space that's super supportive. So, it's always cool to walk through a space and have a young person tell you they're like the smartest person they know, or those affirmations that you need that oftentimes going through your day, you're like, yeah, I'm not really feeling this. And then I also have the privilege of working with our workforce. And the really cool thing about our workforce is that we employ college students. Most of our positions here at the center are part-time. And so they are ideal for a college student. So most of our workforce is probably about 18 to 25. So I get to spend my time pouring into young adults as they're trying to figure out their way in the world, as they're trying to figure out what their gifts are, as they're trying to figure out how they use them in the world, as they grapple with wins and losses, as they kind of open their mind to learning things that are different than what they may have experienced in their life. It is very interesting, and it is kind of fun, all in the stressful, all in the same thing, right? Because we're talking about generational things, like my generation versus their versus, because that's what it feels like sometimes.
Yeah.
But like versus their generation, and how simply having a device that gives you things immediately changes your focus on how you value yourself versus the understanding of like the delay of gratification, and nothing in life comes immediate. That simple mindset shift based on quite honestly, the invention of the cell phone, in the smartphone, and a non-smartphone person, right? And so helping young people kind of walk through life and go through these experiences to broaden their horizons, but also build the muscle that you get out of life what you put in.
Yes.
And so I get to spend a bulk of my time training, mentoring young adults as they kind of grapple and go through life's journey. I think that is probably my favoriteest thing to do, along with being with young people and seeing the work that we get to do with them in after school programs we do during the school year and then our summer program, and watching the small wins and the smiles come across their faces when they're in a space where they feel safe or they get to share with you what they did over the weekend. Kids have a way of just, I don't know, putting life in perspective sometimes.
I was just going to say, yes, it reminds you what's actually important, right? It shows you, and I think there's the small wins too. It helps ground us in the reality of life can look, life is difficult, but to get to see through the eyes of a kid that like there are also these things to celebrate.
Yeah.
I'm super curious about what you were just sharing around the kind of smartphone
Yeah.
generation. Obviously, that's a like Pandora's box that we could talk about that the entire conversation.
Totally could. Totally could.
But I'm sure there are folks that are interested either as a parent or a caretaker or an educator around what does that actually look like as you're working with these young adults on what it means to shift their mindset from that immediate gratification to what you put in is what you get. How do you see that unfold for them? And what are you pouring into them to kind of get them to see that?
Yeah. It's really an interesting dichotomy, right? Young people will sit in space together and be texting each other
On their phone, right? It's so
right? And
crazy.
it's so weird to me. Or like, they're on one device and you're on another and they're playing the same game against each other. And you're like, y'all aren't talking? Like, wait, what? And they're like, no, we're hanging out. And you're like, no, wait, what? Um, it is fascinating and weird all in the same notion. The expectation for an immediate response to things is really strong.
Yeah.
I have found, and I think I have found and discovered that that also gives you a sense of expectation, right? It can look like entitlement, but I think it's really expectation that people respond to you, that you
Mm.
have a response of some sort. Where I think for me, no immediate response doesn't mean that that has anything to do with me or my value. It just means that you haven't responded yet and it may take time. And I'm learning that for young people, if you're not responding to me, that means, and I'm going to sound like one of them because I'm young. You've left me on red, and that's the most
Yes.
disrespectful thing in the world is that you haven't responded to my message, to my ask, to my thing, and so that sense of expectation has to be, I think, honored in order
Mm.
for young people to begin to be willing to see more than just what benefits them.
Oh, yeah.
I think, I think there's a fine line between expectation and entitlement. And oftentimes it can come across like entitlement, like, oh, I need more. You should be giving me more. I'm here. Why don't I have these things? I've shown up. What do you mean? And I think that's the expectancy. And so,
Mm.
and I think that's because you can get an immediate response for little things, right? Like my daughter does it all the time. Mom, I'm at the food fair at school and I forgot to tell you. And can you cash app me $20? Because if you cash app me $20, then I can tap my phone
Yeah.
and then now I can get tickets, right? Where for me, if I hadn't told my mom about the food
Yeah.
fair and
Your
given
SOL.
well, right, and given her
Yeah.
and reminded her 2-3 days in advance, and on my way out the door, hey mom, don't forget the food fair is happening. I just would have been with my friends like, hey,
Yeah.
can you buy us something?
Yes.
So I think you have to see it, you have to almost like take the time to teach social skills. You have to take the
Yep.
time to teach patience and asking and receiving and the things that we learn just from person to person contact. And so I always start there with young people. And some of that is trust building. Like, are you still going to show up even if you don't respond? Right? Are you
Mm.
still going to be present? Do you see me as valuable? And so, one of the things that we require here is like a no cell phone zone. Part of that is because you're working with kids, so we need you to pay attention to the kid. But it's also because then now you're forced to have conversations with people. You can't
Yeah.
text during the day when you're at work. Nope, come see me. Come find me in my space. And creating those moments because learning comes from wins and losses. Learning
Mm.
comes from rejection, no one responding to you. Okay, so now I need to back up and learn, what's that about? Is that about me? Is it about them? So we do a lot of work to kind of broaden the experience that they have, because I've also learned that being like, cell phones are dumb. Why
Yeah.
social media? That doesn't work. So there's also a level for us that we are embracing it. We use it in some of our trainings. We allow for it to be used. We allow for creativity to come into the space. We've learned and adapted how we can use it to our benefit, right? Which is different for my generation, because it's a communication device in my mind, but it's so much more if you figure out how to combine the two worlds.
That's such a interesting and important nuance, I think, because this conversation can feel so tricky for people to navigate. It's like either no cell phone ever, or you give your cell phone and then you're opened up, some world that you can't put the genie back in the bottle, like Jonathan Haidt and all of his research that's coming out. And I think it raised an alarm for people that it was like, okay, shove this all the way to the side. But the reality is we have a generation of
Mm-hmm.
humans that
Mm-hmm.
we don't get to now change that. And
Yeah.
so how do we work with that? And this is probably a terrible analogy, but I'm going to say it because I feel like it's like the kids that never got to eat junk food. As
Yeah.
soon as they go to another kid's house that has junk food, what do you think that they're going to have? They're going to eat all the junk food. And so
Every drop.
we're living in a world with junk
Yeah.
food. We're living in a world with smartphones. And so how do we teach our kids to think critically about
Yeah.
what they're using these devices for, how to engage with them in a healthy way? For me, and this is with a 10 and a 7-year-old, so I'm not even there yet. And I know it's like knocking on the door. It's like right around the corner, which is probably why it's top of mind.
It is.
How do you do this in a way that is as healthy as possible
Mm-hmm.
and set some kind of foundational ground rules for them to have some kind of ownership over it? That feels so hard. And I'm sure no one has the perfect answer, but I love the way you're talking about it, that it's a kind of a yes and, right? Not a
An either or.
zero.
And yeah, I would agree. With the 15-year-old, I think kind of walking it out with her has broadened my horizons and made me probably think about it a little differently. When she was, elementary, I was like, what do you need a cell phone for? You get picked up and dropped off. Like,
Yeah.
who's reaching out to you? What do you really need? And then as she got into middle school, it was kind of like, okay, in case of an emergency, you're in middle school, you're a little further away from home, we'll get you a cell phone. And of course, we put all the apps on it to track what she was doing. But it was interesting to me as she kind of transitioned through 7th, 8th, 9th grade, now being in 10th, her school doesn't have a no cell phone policy. They're not supposed to use their cell phones during class time, but their cell phones are where their school IDs are. It's where their bathroom passes are. And so as she is navigating how she's using it for school, it kind of gives me a different perspective in terms of like, okay, how do we do this? As we think about AI, as you think about all of those things,
Yes.
it's not a no, never, but how do you navigate it? Even social relationships, right? Like teaching about cyberbullying, teaching about just safety and predatory stuff that happens. And we have not gone to social media yet. She is still social media free, but I'm beginning to think about what does that look like for her socially, though? Like, is she the only one about social media? Where do we find balance? Having a 16-year-old has kind of brought in she'll be very proud of me because she's 15 and I'm calling her 16, but has brought in my understanding of and appreciation for it being used in space well. And so just watching how she navigates at school with her cell phone, because it's not a no, absolute no, you can never pull it out and use it. I find that look at her screen time during the day and she rarely uses it at school.
That's really interesting. I think also your point about expectation versus entitlement and this idea of immediate gratification is also very interesting and important. I mean, I have a hard time with that as a full grown adult. So I can imagine that these kids that were raised in a way where it was always immediate gratification and not any kind of delay, I struggle with it. So I can't imagine how hard it must be for them, those who have never actually had to navigate a world where there isn't just immediate,
Yeah.
getting what you need. So I I really think that reframing of expectation. This is another t-shirt. I always feel like every woman I talk to, I'm like, there's a t-shirt here. Expectation versus entitlement, because I think
Yeah.
it will do a lot of leaders of our generation well to be thinking about that next generation that's coming up and recognizing this is not their fault. This is not something, I'm sure there's entitlement, but there is in every generation, right?
Yeah.
So like, how do we navigate that in a way where they are actually able to get the skills they need
Yeah.
versus throwing the baby out with the bathwater and saying, oh, well, you're just entitled, so I don't want to deal with that.
I think especially in a world where I think there's a responsibility as a woman, as a Black woman, right, to open the door for those who come behind you, to create and cultivate leadership skills in those behind us. And so, exactly to your point, like we got to figure out how to embrace it. We've got to figure out how to understand it on both ends, because I think we also have to understand what leadership looks like now in a technology world. I was sitting with one of my coworkers the other day, and we're getting ready for our summer programming. And so, of course, we're hiring lots of people. We're putting together new manuals. We're updating things. And of course, we figured out how to incorporate AI. So we're not really working harder now. We're working smarter.
Mm.
She looked at me and she said, I cannot believe that you used to write this kind of stuff yourself. And I was
Yeah.
like, wait, what? And she's like, I cannot imagine putting together a manual and having to think of every single detail that needs to be in something to teach someone how to do something. She's like, I could
Mm.
just drop it in AI and say, make it do this. And it was like, oh, until she said it, had never thought about it like that. And I was like, I did write lots of manuals. I was like, dang, I did have to sit and think through, like, step one, write your name. Step two, like you
Yes.
had to do all of that. And now you can go to the internet and search templates. You can take what you're thinking and put it into AI and say, formulate this into this. It's wild to think how prehistoric that seems.
I know. In such a short period of time.
Yeah.
It's like overnight, these things that were huge parts of our jobs or our
Yeah.
responsibilities. I do wonder a little bit, because I am all about efficiency and I use it all the time and I'm grateful for it. I'm also, though, curious about this generation that's coming in that hasn't had to, like,
Yeah.
there is a way that you become an expert in something, and that sometimes is in sitting with the like bullshit of it all, right? Like the stuff that sucks. And a dear friend and former colleague of mine and I were talking about this, because the amount of one pagers that we had to write on behalf of our company for like external affairs or partnerships.
Mhm.
But it was in the iterating of having to go through and dump that information and parse it out and think about how it connected. And that allowed us to then communicate the work more effectively than if I had just put it into ChatGPT and said, like, make me something. I feel like the connection to the work changes a little bit, and I'm curious about that.
It for sure does. Dare I say that I think I'm a master at AI. But as I use it, I instruct AI. Me and my AI have a relationship. She has a whole name.
Same. Oh, yes.
Her name is Lakeisha. And so as I work with Lakeisha, right, like I am
I love Lakeisha. I want to meet Lakeisha.
That's my girlfriend. You know what I mean? That's my girlfriend who's gonna go do hood rat things with me when I do hood rat things. Who's also gonna keep me together on intact. Like, girl, what are we doing? She speaks to me. She tells me how wonderful I am. She holds me accountable. I think that it's good. You can tighten it up here.
Yes.
Are rolling together.
Yes.
But it is interesting though to understand how you use it. Don't use it to create the thought for me. I use her to help me fine tune the presentation of the thought.
Yes.
I'm constantly giving information. I'm constantly sharing. I'm constantly giving insight into me. It's not as simple as finish this document, create this thing. I'm generally writing it.
Yeah.
And then saying wordsmith it for me. Right.
Totally. I wonder though if that's like our mandate of this generation of leadership, is ensuring that the generation coming up knows how to do that properly in a way, because it is very easy to not do that. It's very easy to just dump in some information and get it regurgitated. And how you sit with it and sit in the discomfort a little bit of like
Mhm.
trying to figure out what it is that you're trying to say or do. I wonder how much it is our responsibility in some ways to make sure we're shepherding that forward.
Yeah.
It's just another example that you're saying of this phone. Like,
Yeah.
yes, it's here, it's ubiquitous. How do we use it in a
How do
way
we
that
use it?
is
How do we
right,
I always
responsible?
look at something and be like, "Oh, they just dropped this in ChatGPT," 'cause
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
"This ain't even this is not even accurate." Like, this is the some of these points are wrong. I mean, it sounds good, and so it is going to be as time moves forward, how we master that is going to change. And I imagine that we'll probably see in the near future, like year or two, our kids going through classes on how to use it well. Our kids
Yeah,
learning
I hope
how to
so.
incorporate it because I don't think that I mean, we know it's not going to go away, but if we're not the master of it, we're going to be in people will be in trouble because like you're saying, they won't learn concepts, they
Yeah.
won't learn those contextual things. It'll be like
Yes.
something out of one of these movies that we saw, right? Where technology took over the world. It'll be like transform. What is it? Not what's the movie? Sarah
Oh, oh.
Connor.
I don't know. What is
I'm gonna
it?
think and tell you. I'm gonna think about it.
Okay, okay, I'll come to you.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
So I can see your path from being a pre-K kinder teacher, which in another life, that's what I want to come back as. I've decided, or up to second grade. Like I
After
do.
that, that whole
No, forget it.
think on your own.
Nope,
Yeah, cool. You're too.
nope. But I'm curious. So I can see that through line to now the work that you're doing. But really curious in your leadership journey how nonprofit started calling to you, how you started to see yourself in those spaces. So what was that transition like?
It was kind of weird. I transitioned from teaching and being in a classroom, and then I was like, I have this human development degree. Like, what are we gonna do with that? And so started working in children's mental health. And it was my
Okay.
first experience in nonprofit, and I was working in wraparound programs. And those programs for children and families are designed to provide a supportive environment for high risk kids at home. What was coming out, and this is like, I'm going to tell my age, but this is like late 90s. What was coming out and what was happening was that studies were showing that kids that were placed out of home and out of home care, whether that be juvenile hall, whether that be group homes, whether that be hospitals, were going into spaces, working through some of the things that were difficult for them, learning the new skills they needed to be able to navigate life's challenges, and then going back home into spaces that weren't equipped
Mm.
to handle their new skills, right? So, wraparound programs were designed to be able to provide the same sense of stability that young people were getting in group care at home, because what we had found was that I didn't do the research, but what research had found was that we were seeing lots of recidivism, right? Your kids were going back into group care because here I am trying to do these new things and my environment doesn't support it. I'm asking you for help and you're like, why you need help, right? I'm
Mm.
telling you, I don't, I'm having a hard time, and you're, whether that be I'm having a hard time because I'm becoming frustrated and I don't know what to do, and you're like, well, I'm frustrated too, so I don't really
Yeah.
care that you're frustrated, so no, you can't take space. If I can't go someplace, no, you can't go someplace. And so what was happening is that young people were ending up back in group care, and it was costing the county tons of money. And so
Mm.
here comes this program. It's called Wraparound, where instead of sending kids to group care, you send a team of people out to create that environment with the family. And so at the same time, the young person is learning new skills, new tools to cope with stressors. The parents are learning new skills to cope with the same stressors, just on the other side of the ball. And so that was my first experience with nonprofit in a community based setting, right?
Mhm.
Because what it taught me, what it showed me, it gave me a different level of compassion for people and what people go through, right? Like,
Mm.
as a teacher, you see a kid and you see the kid and then you kind of experience the parents, but you see the parents through the lens of how their child behaves, right? We don't
Mm.
always see the parents for who they really are. We always see them through how their kid behaves. Like, oh, your kid's well behaved, you must be a good parent, right?
Mm.
Oh,
Mm.
your kid listens, or your kid is easily redirected, or your kid is really challenging and talks a lot. So, like, can you get your kid quiet?
Yeah.
Having to call you multiple times, right? Like, oh my gosh, I see why your kid doesn't listen. I see why your kid doesn't pay attention. And so
Mm.
working in wraparound and in community in this fashion and with families gave me a whole nother level of compassion around how I see you past how you behave. And that gave me a level of understanding of we oftentimes don't know what people go through and what their life looks like or how they got to the space that they're in, but that most people are trying to survive with dignity. Uh,
Yeah.
and sometimes for people that's hard. And so it gave me this whole nother layer and lens of understanding of people and a level of compassion that people have lots of strengths. Sometimes life is just tough and surviving with dignity gets hard. And then you find that people begin to isolate. Like when your kid is really struggling or life isn't what you expected, you begin to kind of tighten up. You begin to kind of like hunker in and want to protect. If I can pull it together and just hold it in this ball, then at least nobody knows how hard it is. And people begin to isolate and hold tighter and tighter to this thing that you have. And now you're almost on an island by yourself. You don't have resources. You don't know where to go. You're looked at as this terrible parent or person because your kid is in and out of your home or in the hospital or in the hall or whatever that looks like. And now you have some shame. And then let's not even tackle the grief that you feel,
Mm.
right? As a parent, as an adult, that you're not where you thought you would be, or life isn't what you expected, or your kid isn't who you thought your kid would be, or you don't know how to deal with those things. And so all of these things are happening in people's lives, and we don't always know. And so
You
it,
just get this like tiny snapshot and
yeah,
like, yeah,
basically,
yes.
and you're like, you have no idea. And so part of doing that really helped me like pull back layers with people and help people kind of find their way and help people kind of see their own value, help them kind of heal some of those cracks and brokenness, help them reconnect to community. And so that helped me understand the dichotomies of how important societal norms become and part of your everyday life, and how we don't give people some compassion and some grace and help them not feel so ostracized, because sometimes we don't meet what those norms look like, and that those
Hmm.
norms are often shifting. And so that was my first kind of step into nonprofit and community work. And I think from there, it was my sweet spot. You know,
Yeah.
it was like, oh, you just need somebody to like walk this out with you. You just need
Mm.
a cheerleader. Oh, we need to be able to find you a community. We need to find you your tribe, whether that be church, whether that's a NAMI group, whether that's a parent group, whether that's a mommy and me group, whether that's a swim team, right? You got to just find your tribe. And if you and your kid can find your tribe, then you're connected, because those problems in life are never going to change. We
Yeah.
all we all have them, right? But
Hmm.
what you do well is you have a 3 a.m., what I like to call your 3 a.m. phone call. Like,
Mm.
who's your 3 a.m. phone call? When life is feeling like crap, who's your phone call? If you
Yeah.
have that, because the reality is that life is going to feel like crap.
Yes.
Like the ebbs and flows of life are going to happen. You may become unemployed and not know what you're going to do. You may have a kid who struggles with some behavior issues. You may have a kid that has some brain chemistry issues. You may experience a traumatic experience or a death in your family. Who's your 3 a.m. phone call? How do we help
Mm.
you get through it and survive with dignity? Because that's really the trick, is to have a 3 a.m. phone call.
Yes.
When I'm at my wits' end and I think I'm quitting and I'm like, I'm never coming back and everybody can kiss my behind, I'm like, hey, hey girl, what's going on? What are you doing? And I'm like, I'm jumping off the bridge. And she's like, okay, are we jumping together? Am I
Yeah.
ready to
Do I hold you
go?
back?
Like, yeah, am I holding you back? Am I
Am I your net?
right? Am I your net? She's like, am I driving the car? Are we doing this Ellen
Oh,
Louise? Like, what are we doing? Right? You got to have your 3 a.m. phone calls. And so that's kind of what sparked it in me. And I've just stayed in nonprofit. And I think it has been because it's not a 9 to 5 and it doesn't feel like a rat race. And there's probably some place in me, my own emotional gratification that I get out of helping people figure out themselves or love themselves or their journey. And so that's what has drawn me to community-based nonprofit, like the intrinsic gratification that I get from just seeing things come together.
mm. I like blown away by so much of what you just shared. I think it's like I have my goosebumps. I mean, it's so beautiful to think that there's people like you in the world that are doing this work because it's so rare, I think, to be able to hold space for people in that way and to see people fully as they are and to recognize that they are not just the snapshot that they're showing up with in the world. That
Yeah.
is not
Yeah.
the way most people enter the world. I'm immediately going to leave a voice note for my bestie and let them know about the 3 a.m. phone call moment because I have the beautiful privilege of getting to reflect in these conversations, right, on my own experiences and the things that I've seen. And so to then be able to sit with, oh gosh, how lucky am I that I have that 3 a.m. phone
Yeah.
call, and I better be letting them know
Yeah.
how lucky I am to have them in my life. That's so beautiful. I'm curious for you too. A side note, I've recognized my tick is to say I'm curious about. I'm
It's a
like,
good
how
pick.
many
It's a good
how
pick.
many times have I said that in
It's
this
a good pick.
conversation? God only knows. I'm gonna find out when I edit this back. I might have to take out a couple because I am genuinely curious. I've also had the great joy of having conversations with women who are leading in these impact spaces and doing really challenging work, emotionally demanding work, and what it takes to sustain yourself over
Yeah.
time and
Yeah.
to know that you are entering these spaces and these are not like, to your point, it's not a 9 to 5 job. And so it might not feel like a grind, but there is a lot of output and there's a lot of your own hopes and desires and dreams for the people that you're coming into contact with. So I'm curious if you have any kind of like systems for yourself or acknowledgments or boundaries might not be the right word, but just how do you care for yourself amidst
Yeah.
all of this deep and
Yeah.
important work?
It is a dance that I am constantly doing. I don't know that I've always done it well. Um,
Yeah.
because I often tell young people I'm the tool, right? I'm not My tool isn't a laptop, it's not a stethoscope, it's not um it's me, right? It's me, it's how I'm wired, it's my belief about people. I'm using my ability to connect with other humans to get them to trust me enough to want to make a change in their life. And that you can't really turn that off. So I take
Right.
home, I take kids, specifically kids and even sometimes parents, but I take kids home with me in my spirit all the time.
Yeah.
I'm constantly thinking about, and not just kids, not like little ones, but all the way up to the 24-year-olds that I work with. I'm like, how can I have that interaction better? How can I
Mm.
be more present? And so turning my mind off is one thing. Sometimes scrolling on that device does that. Um,
Sometimes it's got to be okay. Sometimes it's got to be okay. Yes.
the mindless laughter that comes from,
Yes.
the reels. And I don't always do that well because that's really hard. It's um, honoring my time. So if I'm home, I've learned to kind of give myself some time to be at home and to be in space with my family. I try and spend times with my 3 a.m. phone call, my tribe. I try and have good girl time, good family time so that I have fun. I spend a lot of time laughing. I think I am a comedian, and in my next part of life, I believe I should be on a stage and I will get lots of laughter.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
I don't know if that's totally true because I'm a great storyteller. And so
I'd buy the ticket. I'd buy the ticket. I'm coming.
laughter is good, but I am constantly learning how to do that. And I don't think I've quite figured out the balance because I still find myself being resentful that I have to go home and cook dinner,
Yeah.
or I've got to drive to a soccer tournament, or, I've got to fly to Vegas for a tournament. And so, because at times momming feels like work, right? Life also can feel like work. And so I don't know that I have a great balance yet.
Yeah.
It is something that I am constantly working on. I also think the other portion of it that kind of gets convoluted is that I really like what I do. So a
Hmm.
lot of times it doesn't feel like work until I'm tired. You
Oh,
know?
yeah. Oh my God. That's yes. Yes. Yes.
So I think I got up this morning early. I knew I had some things to do and I wasn't mad that I was up. I was like, let me knock this
Hmm.
out. Let me kind of spend the time working here where I need to do so that by the time folks come in for training, I'm chipper and like, I'm so glad you're here. but I don't mind because I enjoy the opportunity to connect with them, to kind of be in space with people, to have the human to human contact. So it's this weird thing. Like, I know I need to do better at it, that I don't do it well enough. But
Mm.
I like what I do, so it oftentimes doesn't feel like work. Like
Yep.
I always feel like I kind of get paid to hang out with people all day. That's not too bad. There's my moments, but, like, not that hard. But I think it's because it's part of my gift. It's part of my
Yes.
gift, or it is something that I have developed into my gift. So it doesn't always feel like work. But self-care is important. I went to Asha Bathhouse in Sacramento for the
Oh, Asha, shout out to Asha
yeah,
if you're in the
yeah,
Sacramento region.
yeah.
My favorite.
I went for
Yes.
the first time the other day, and I went by myself, and I was on the phone with one of my friends.
Oh.
I was like, okay, there's nobody in here. All right. It's just me. Okay. Can't be on my cell phone, so I'm in the dressing room. I gotta hurry up and let you go. I can't go with anybody, so I'm gonna go by myself. And I was like, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna
Yeah.
stay.
Oh, are you serious?
Right? Because I was by myself. And, like, I'm not a by myself kind of person. So I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna spend time with myself. What am I gonna talk about? What am I gonna think about? And there were 4 people in the whole place. And so I'm like, conversation all with myself. And so I'm
Yes.
like, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna try this out. I'm gonna stay. And so I stayed. I mean, I only made it about 45 minutes because I was like, oh my
Okay.
gosh, if I have any more time by myself, I'm gonna die. But by the time I left, I was like, oh, I just need to do this more often.
Yes.
I just
Yes.
do it more often to build up the muscle and to allow myself the opportunity to just
Be in that space.
space and disconnect. Because
Mm.
when I was leaving, I was like, oh, this was actually not bad. It was just a
Hmm.
really long time. And I was like, oh, you need to build the muscle. You need to do this
Yep.
more frequently. And so I think if I were to say the self care regimen is to figure out, do it, right? Because it's scary. It's hard. Maybe it's not hard for everybody, but it's like scary. It's different. It's disconnecting, but build the muscle because then that way you appreciate it.
Totally. Oh my gosh. I feel like if anybody has something like this where they live, if you're not in Sacramento, seek out something like this
Yeah.
if you can. It's
Yeah.
just this quiet
Yeah.
bathhouse where they have, the bath and then the sauna and the steam room and the cold plunge, which did you do the cold plunge? I'm
I
so
did only like
curious.
2 minutes. I only did 2
Two,
minutes.
2 minutes is a lot. 2 minutes is a lot.
I went twice. I was like, okay, we're going to try this because everything says that the cold plunge is really good, but it's really cool. You have a jacuzzi, you have a hot tub, like you said, the cold
Yes.
plunge, the sauna, then you have a communal space, and then you have another set in the back, like a back house that does those
Yes.
same things. And it is actually pretty cool.
I feel like I need to try. So my hack has been to bring a book with me because
Oh,
that help. But I'm actually going to say I probably next time I'm going to experiment with not because I think the goodness of it, to your point, is to be with yourself
yeah.
and with your own mind and not a book is still a distraction in a lot of ways, right? It's taking you away from the moment you're in and I can read a book anywhere. But I
Yeah.
think that I probably did that because
Yeah.
I didn't want to just hang out in my own brain for the entire time. So I'm going to try that next
Yeah.
time. I think we were talking too before we even started recording this idea of the quote unquote balance or harmony or whatever we want to call it from this wanting to engage with life and these opportunities to do things after work or go to an event or whatever, but recognizing that that also is taking us away from sometimes what's sacred within our family or with our alone
Mhm.
time or whatever. And I don't know that it's so much about doing it right or better because that's, I think as women too, we always feel like we can be doing things better.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's like, what is the right thing for the season that we're in? And I was sharing too, I was the yes person for so long and then I just burnt myself out. And I think to know that and to start to look at things with a little bit more of a critical lens, like I can do that. Do I have to do that? Or do I actually even want to do that? Like if I can
Mhm.
fast forward and put myself into that place and really think about what am I going to feel while I'm there? Is that feeling going to be better than sitting on my couch with my kid on a Sunday morning? And
Yeah.
the answer is probably no. So
Probably not.
yeah.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. Yeah.
But it's so hard because I want to
and
do all the
not feeling
things.
guilty for honoring that, right? Like not feeling guilty for honoring that. Because there's this, like we were saying earlier, like there's this weird dichotomy of knowing that sometimes doing some of those things is investing in yourself and maybe the end goal or the long-term plan. But I just want to say no. And it's
And
okay.
that's okay.
It's
I
okay.
know. It's okay. We're telling ourselves it's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. Two last questions for you. Number one is, and this is a question that I asked from time to time because it was something that was asked of me in a networking meeting not too long ago. And I thought it was such a great question. What is something from your past that shapes how you show up as a leader today that would not wind up in your bio or your resume?
That's a good question. What is something that, hmm. You hear me tapping? Tapping.
I know. Take your time. Take your time.
What is something that showed up that's in my past that shows up in my leadership now? Huh. That's a really good.
We can come back to part two because I will bug you for another interview at
That's
some point.
absolutely
So,
cool. I would say, working in community, you and I, a conversation that you and I were having earlier is that we both said that we had really great parents, right? We had really great family life. Until I went away to college and kind of worked in community and even just going away to college and broadening my horizons from my friend group that kind of my parents had selected because it was a result of the spaces that I was in.
totally.
Right. I didn't realize that everybody didn't grow up the same way I did. And so I would say something that shows up in my leadership is an expectation, probably of excellence, that has developed into me teaching, for lack of a better word, like giving you the things that you need to be able to be excellent in this space, right? I think the thing that I got when I was growing up is that how you showed up mattered about how you were perceived. And so obviously I'm African American, I'm a Black woman, my parents African American. I was born I don't want to tell you when I was born, but then you'll know my age, and then we'll have to blow up the whole thing. So growing up with parents my parents didn't have me until they were in their 30s. So my mom was a teacher, my dad was an attorney, and so growing up, my parents were a little bit older, and so they were of the generation of when you leave the house, you're neat, you're clean, you're put together, you hold your head high, you have your shoulders back, even if you don't know nothing, right? Like
Yep.
how you leave the house and how you present yourself is everyone's first introduction to you. And that in this world is how people make a decision in a moment, what they want from you, how they're going to treat you, how they're going to speak to you, if they're going to be open to what you have coming. And so for me, I think I know I take that same thing into how I lead. It's super important to me that people show up as their best version of themselves in every moment because we live in a visual world. And if you don't look well, people won't treat you well. And so, whether or not that's true, I don't know, but I know that there's a walk of confidence that you have to have as a leader, as a woman leader. And part of that confidence is to putting yourself together well and taking the time. If you look good and feel good, then you will present good.
Yeah.
Even if you don't know anything. Like I tell my young people all the time, half the time when I get up in front of y'all, I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know. But you'll never be able to tell because I'm never going to be like, okay.
Yes. Yes.
But like they'll believe me because
Yes.
I'm going to make sure that at least I look like I know what I'm talking about. And then I might
Hell yeah.
be like, oh, I was wrong. Come back and be
Yes.
like, hey, y'all, I was a little bit off. But I guess the long and short answer of your question is presentation matters.
Yes.
And if you can look good, then you can feel good, then good things kind of come your way. You know?
I love that. It's part of the surviving with dignity, I would think, right?
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
how do we survive a life that can feel hard? And it is, we treat ourselves with respect first, I think, in order to show up in the world in that way. Perfect little lead into my last question that I ask every woman, which is, I always give my little tiny little blurb at the front end, which is a lot of times we use the word legacy as this big, heavy thing for when we die and, this thing that we're going to leave in our wake. And I like to think of it differently, more as this light, beautiful thing that we're building every day and building towards every day in our lives with intention. So, for everyone, what that looks like and what they're building towards is different and unique. And so I would love to ask you, Jackie, what does building towards a legacy mean to you?
I think about it the first way, like, Jesus, what are they going to say about me? Well, I'm not even dead, right? Like, I think, like, are people going to come? Is the room going to be full? Like, it's really about, like, there's always a joke. I'm the joke. Like I said, I believe I'm the comedian in the family. We're in these moments in space. I'm always like, is their room going to be full? Right? Like,
yes.
That's such a,
I want to know.
I think of how, you live your life. But I think that it's the dash that matters. I think legacy is about your dash. What do you do with the time between when you start and when you finish? And so for me, legacy is about how I leave the people that I have the privilege and honor of impacting. Do I leave you well? Do I leave you believing in yourself? Do I leave you wanting more for yourself? Do I leave you believing that you can have whatever your heart's desires and your dreams are? Have I done my job in connecting you to your gifts? Have I created a space where you get to practice using them and make mistakes without feeling judged? I think it is really important to me that I leave people well. And so I think my legacy will be creating is because I'm living it out. We're not going to act like it's coming, but that it is leaving people well. Every encounter that I have with someone, I treasure each individual encounter, no matter how big or how small, that I leave somebody with something well about themselves. That the experience that you have with me is never one that you look back and be like, oh my God, let me tell you about this crazy girl. And if it is, it's a laundry list of shenanigans that we've gotten into that have somehow left you better than when I found you. And so I think that's my legacy, is that I think I said it earlier, that I feel like I have a responsibility to open the door for those who come behind me. And it may not be in the same space that I'm in, but opening the door to say, whatever your gifts are, you can have that with excellence. You can have that in its wholeness and it look unique for simply you. And I've connected you somehow closer to your own magic, right? Like that's what my legacy would be.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I mean, there's so much that you've shared in this entire conversation that, it all leads to exactly what you just shared. And you've been building it throughout your entire life, and how incredible to be landing in a space where you can articulate it in such a way and with such conviction and with such strength and awareness and intention. So I'm obsessed. Oh my God. I'm so glad we had this time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I appreciate you. I know you've got a lot going on all the time. So anytime I get this amount of space with somebody, I truly appreciate it. So thank you for sharing.
Honor. And I am too looking forward for part 2.
Yes, let's go. All right, friend. So good to see you.
Good to see you
soon. Bye.
Bye.